Welcome to Fool's Key Tarot. I'm Ben, and this is a daily reading for Sunday, June 8th, 2025. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to draw cards into a past, present, future spread for the day. So first, the past is the Ten of Swords. So this indicates a defeat of some kind, maybe rock bottom. Often with the Ten of Swords, the implication is that you played a role in your own defeat. It could also be treachery or backstabbing. You can see how the swords stick out of the back. So now this middle card will be for the present. This is the Fool in reverse. This can be refusing a calling. It can be a hesitancy to try something new or not being open to experiences and ideas that are before you. This final card will be the future. The Queen of Cups. This is a card about caring and about sharing emotions and sharing feelings, and sometimes even having a psychic ability to read other people's feelings or emotions, even if they are not fully forthcoming and sharing them with you intentionally. So that's the card for the future. So let's go back to the past and read it in sequence. So it looks like in the past there has been a defeat or difficulty that you caused, or at least you played a role in causing. You may not have been the only reason that this happened, but you are a significant contributor to this situation. And it probably feels hopeless or like there's nowhere farther to go. Like it's rock bottom, it's the end of the line, and maybe it feels like you'll never be able to get up again or recover from this problem. And that doesn't mean physical death or something. This can relate to just one area of your life. So it might be an opportunity that you feel like you messed up and is gone. It could be a job that you have been fired from or have put yourself in a bad position where you feel like you're not going to be able to get promoted or have a good future. It could be a relationship where you feel like you've burned the bridges and that there's no going back, and maybe you regret what you did to cause this, but you feel like it's too late. It doesn't matter if you apologize or try to make it right, because at least the feeling, not necessarily the reality, but at least the feeling with this card is that it's over, then that there's no going back. So I think that in the recent past, because this is a daily reading, this is probably something that happened in the last few days, but it could also be something farther in the past that is going to come up or be relevant on today. So it's not necessarily the recent past. But at some point in the recent-ish past, you've experienced a defeat that has felt total and complete, and you also feel like you played a role in it, or it may be that you haven't acknowledged your role in this defeat yet, and that might be what's going to come up today. So if we come to the present, which should represent right now or today, we can see a hesitancy to try something new or to be open to new experiences or to trust in a process that has some amount of uncertainty or risk associated with it. So I think that probably this defeat is weighing on your mind, and that is why you're hesitant to try something new. You feel like, well, the last time I did something like this, it worked really badly and it ended in disaster. And so why would I try again? Why would I take a risk when the last risk I took ended in tears or in a terrible situation that I don't want to repeat? So I think that you're feeling stuck in place today, and you're limiting yourself because of past failures. You are afraid to put yourself out there and try something new. And I think in particular, it's because you caused this defeat for yourself, which is why you feel so hesitant now. Because if this was due to external circumstances, then you could check to see if those external circumstances are still in place. And if they weren't, you could say, well, this time it'll go better, because whatever problem arose before, maybe an enemy, maybe a lack of resources, maybe a certain context or situation that was in place before, maybe I've gotten rid of that and it's not present now. And so this time it'll work when last time it failed. But if you feel like the reason for this failure was in part due to your own failings, then you're probably second guessing yourself and thinking, it doesn't matter how well set up I am for success. What if I mess it up again? And then I have yet another failure, burn yet another bridge, have another low point. You don't want that. And so it's causing you to not even want to try something for that fear of failure. Now, obviously, it's not great to completely shut down and not try anything new, but at the same time, being cautious about risks can be wise, especially if those risks have caused problems in the past. And if you know that you are prone to certain types of failure, it can be good to avoid those kinds of situations so that you don't put yourself in that state again. So the cards aren't saying that you need to be open to new experiences and to take major risks. There's a real balance here between having some amount of uncertainty in your life and taking some amount of risk on in order to try to find new things or to allow for exciting developments to happen. But at the same time, too much risk and too much uncertainty can lead to failure and disaster, which it probably has done before, and it could do again. So you're trying to find where to lie on that spectrum. And right now you're feeling more hesitant to put yourself out there due to a past defeat. Now, when we look into the future, I see insights and I see vision. So I think that whichever path you choose, whether you do end up moving past this failure and taking the risk anyways, or if you stay in your shell and avoid the risk because of the past failure, either way, I think that you're going to get a glimpse of the other reality. So if you don't take this risk, maybe somebody else will, and then you will end up seeing what happens to them. And you'll wonder, well, what if that had been me? What if I had taken that risk? I was too afraid at the time because I was thinking about this thing in my past. Now, maybe it doesn't go well for this person, and so you feel relieved that it's not you. But I think that you are going to get a chance to see what happens to them and to know not necessarily whether or not you made the right choice, but you'll get more information. And you may end up regretting your choice if it's the wrong one. Now, on the flip side, if you do end up taking this risk, despite this past failure, and that's not where I'm seeing the energy tending currently, because I think right now your mindset is to be more cautious, but that doesn't mean that you cannot change your mind and to push yourself out there even though you don't feel like it. So if you do take this risk or do try something new, then maybe the reverse will happen, where you will get a glimpse of what life might have been like had you stayed in your shell and never tried that new thing. And in that case, it'll be the same situation where you will get a sense of whether or not you made the right choice, but that doesn't determine whether or not you made the right choice. If a risk doesn't work out, that doesn't mean it was a bad risk. And so even if you see somebody else who played it safe and it works out for them, that doesn't mean that you should have played it safe. Maybe it was a good risk to take and it just didn't pan out. But having additional information always helps you make future decisions better because it allows you to see what the consequences are of various decisions and to weigh those various factors in the future, because you're going to be faced in the future again with some kind of decision like this, where you have to choose between safety and risk. And whatever you choose this time, you're going to want to be more informed next time. So the good news, I think, is whichever way you go, be on the lookout for hints or visions about what might have happened in the alternate case. Because I think if you are keen and intuitive, just keep an eye out and be open to receiving these kinds of insights, then I think that as time passes, you will get a pretty clear sense of what would have happened if you had made the other decision. And then you will get sort of double insight from this decision. Because with every life experience, we have the insight of what happened to us and then what decision we made and what happened as a result. But if we can glimpse both paths, then it's kind of like we're getting twice the wisdom from just the one experience. And this card is telling you that that information will be available to you, but like the Queen of Cups, you have to look very carefully for it. This might present itself in very subtle ways that would be easy to miss if you're not on the lookout. So I think the cards are telling you to be on the lookout so that you don't miss this information. And whether or not you make the right decision this time, that is going to help you be in a position to make the right decision next time. And it's not really about getting this exact one decision correct this time. It's more about learning where you want to be on the risk versus caution spectrum. What works for you? When are the right times to take a risk? When are the right times to pull back and play it safe? And I think that if you are careful enough, then whether or not you make the right decision this time, it is going to be very instructive for the future, but you do have to pay attention for that. And in terms of making the right decision this time, because it would be nice to get it right this time, even if that's not the most important thing, I think the cards are definitely warning you not to overweight this past issue, because it might weigh very heavily on your mind and feel like a really good reason not to take a risk. But don't put too much weight on that past experience, because you are not that person anymore. And you don't want to shut down every new possibility just because of one bad thing from your past. But that being said, whatever conditions gave rise to this situation, whether they were internal or external, you do want to think through whether or not those conditions are still around you, because if they are, then the same outcome might happen. And if that same outcome is likely to happen, then you might be wise to be cautious right now. Being the inverted fool can be a good state of mind in terms of not taking on too many risks and not just assuming that things are going to work out because you just hope they will, and then being rudely awakened when things don't go your way. So you're going to have to decide today whether or not you're going to play it safe or go for that risk. And the major wisdom from the cards today are first of all, not to put too much emphasis on your past, but don't forget it entirely. But also, whatever decision you make, be on the lookout, because I think that you will get a glimpse of what would have happened either way. And this can be very valuable information for making these kinds of decisions in the future, which you are sure to have to make no matter what happens in this particular case. So if you enjoyed this reading, then subscribe to see more. And if you'd like to learn about tarot cards or try some of my online guided readings, then head on over to foolskey.com where you can check that out. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.